Greetings and welcome to Hymn Stories number 96. There is a green hill far away. There is a green hill far away without a city wall, where the dear Lord was crucified, who died to save us all. We may not know, we cannot tell what pains he had to bear, but we believe it was for us he hung and suffered there. He died that we might be forgiven. He died to make us good, that we might go at last to heaven, saved by his precious blood. There was no other good enough to pay the price of sin. He only could unlock the gate of heaven and let us in. Oh, dearly, dearly has he loved, and we must love him too, and trust in his redeeming blood, and try his work to do. So hymn stories number 96. There is a green hill far away. The author is Mrs. Cecil F. Alexander from 1818 to 1895. The composer is George C. Stebbins from 1846 to 1945. The tune name is To Green Hill, and the meter reading C is CM 86.86 with the chorus. And our scripture reading for this hymn is from John 19, verse 16, which reads, Then delivered he him therefore unto them to be crucified, and they took Jesus and led him away. A mark of greatness is the ability to make profound truths understandable to children. Such was the gift of Mrs. Cecil Frances Alexander, generally regarded as one of the finest English women hymn writers. Mrs. Alexander was born in Tyrone, Ireland, before her marriage in 1850 to the Reverend William Alexander, who later became Archbishop and Primate of the Anglican Church for all of Ireland. She was active and successful in the Sunday school movement, just beginning in Great Britain. Mrs. Alexander never lost her love for children and the desire to teach them sound, principled truths, which she maintained could be the best done through the use of suitable hymns. In 1848, she published a volume of children's hymns that has never been excelled. It covered a wide range of doctrinal subjects such as baptism, the Apostles' Creed, the Ten Commandments, and the Lord's Prayer. Practically all of the 400 poems and hymns written by Mrs. Alexander throughout her life were intended for children, and for this reason, the language is direct and easily understood. As in this hymn, a child has no difficulty in comprehending it, yet this lovely hymn expounds in a most touching and meaningful way the story of Christ's atonement. The hymn text was written especially by Mrs. Alexander for the purpose of teaching her own Sunday school class the meaning of the phrase, from the Apostles' Creed. Suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, dead, and buried. The text, though intended for children, has been greatly used by adult congregations for more than a century. Like most of her writings, this text is said to have a simplicity that an adult Christian person need never outgrow. After her marriage, Mrs. Alexander maintained a keen interest in her husband's parish duties, and her life continued to be filled with deeds of helpfulness and charity. Her husband once wrote this tribute of her: "From one poor home to another she went. Christ was ever with her and in her, and all felt in her influence. Those who knew her intimately claimed that her life was even more beautiful than her hymns and poetry. She was a very humble woman who disclaimed praise for her accomplishments. However, the account is given that on one occasion, when someone wrote to tell her of the change in her heart and life which had come to a worldly man through the influence of one of her hymns, as it was sung, Mrs. Alexander sprang to her feet, joyfully exclaiming, "Thank God! I do like to hear that." Mrs. Alexander is also the author of Jesus Calls Us. George C. Stebbins, composer of the music, is well known in the field of American gospel music. He was born on February 26, 1846, in Orleans County, about 50 miles northeast of Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. At the age of 23, he moved to Chicago to be associated with the Loin and Healy Music Company. In 1874, he moved to Boston and became music director of Clarendon Street Baptist Church. It was here that he met D.L. Moody and Ira Sankey and began a close association with them. He also worked with such leading evangelists as George F. Pentecost, Major D. Whittle, and others. After that untimely death of Philip P. Bliss in 1876, Stebbins and James McGranahan assisted Ira Sankey in editing and compiling the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th editions of the Gospel Hymn Series. Stebbins composed this tune for Mrs. Alexander's texts in 1878. And it first appeared that same year in Gospel Hymns number 3. The hymn became one of the widely used songs in the great evangelistic campaigns of Moody and Sankey and other leading teams conducting similar gospel meetings during that era. Other items by George Stebbins include "Have Thine Own Way, Lord," "Saved by Grace," and "Ye Must Be Born Again." Hopefully you enjoyed Hymn Stories number 96. There is a green hill far away. And we look forward to seeing you in our next episode, Hymn Stories number 97. This is My Father's World. Until then, we'll see you in the next episode of Hymn Stories. Bye for now, and have a great and blessed day. Bye now.